Hello world, welcome back to CyberCreed. Today in this video we are going to see how you can use ChatGPT API using your Python interface. So using the ChatGPT you can perform multiple of actions. It is just up to your imagination what you want it to do. But for this video I will be explaining you how you can basically create a bot that will automatically keep on generating blog posts for your website. Either it can be hosted on WordPress, or it can be on Medium, or it can be on anywhere, so that you can continuously generate blog posts using the ChatGPT. And also the things are going to be simply be automated. So you can either provide it a list of titles on which you want your blog post to be written, and this AI is going to keep on writing the post for it. So with that said, let's get this video started. So the first thing that you need to get is an API key from the ChatGPT official website. So for that, what we need to do, we need to open up our Chrome, and you can search for ChatGPT Playground. So here on the Playground you can also play with things. It is just like a sandbox environment of ChatGPT where the new beta features are also available. So here is how this Playground is basically going to look. I will also provide the link in the description. So here is the Playground. So here also you can just ask questions or give it any suggestions of writing the blog post or things like that, and it is going to write like so just for an example I'm going to write like this: write write a blog post about blockchain development. So this is just for our testing purpose. So if you click on submit, yes, okay. So the spelling is a bit mistaken. So the server had error while processing the request. Okay, I think the server of its is not working properly as of now. If I submit it, okay, now it is basically working. Sometimes the server is too busy, so they are basically prioritizing the paid members, and they are giving less priority to the free members. So here you can see it have started writing. So here in the Playground you have the power to customize it. So here there are multiple of models that are basically available. So this is one of the most expensive one. So let me just click on cancel so that it can stop generating the response. And here are the different models, and the bigger the circle you are going to see, the bigger its pricing. So with the increase in strength, the computing power is going to increase, and thus the pricing of it is going to be basically be high. So here you can create the model, select the model, and here you can also select the maximum length you want it to be. So here you can also select if it is complete, chat, insert, or edit, whatever things you want it to be done, you can select it from here. And also let's suppose you want to make the maximum length as 610, you set it there, and then what you need to do, you can just click on view code. So it is as simple as that. So it will give you the code in Python. So also we are going to work in Python, because if you see in the API references section, it also works with Node.js, but it is not as smooth as it is with Python. So I basically prefer Python with OpenAPI in this case. So you have to basically get an API key. So to get an API key, you can click on this. Where is it? So here if you see, while viewing the code, you can see your API key can be found here, and this here is basically in this light green color. So if you click open link in new tab, you will basically be able to see the API key. So I have basically generated two API key. You can simply click on create a new API key, and it will simply throw you up with this API key. So I can click it copy, and I can just simply go to my text editor. Where is it? So let me find out. So I will just simply go to my text editor, and I will just simply paste this API key. So this is just for this session. You need to create the API key of your own, as for every account that you create, the ChatGPT will provide you $18 of free coupon or free gift that you can use for your testing purposes, but it will last you pretty long. Like you can write up to 1,000 articles or so. So you can basically use it. If you are going to use it commercially, you have to pay it if you want it to generate more and more. But here we are just doing it for testing purposes and learning purposes only. So I have created the I have copied the API key, and here if I go here, I can simply copy the code from here. So if I just simply copy the code and paste it here. So first of all, here you are seeing this open API key in red. So it is a package that is not installed. So what we need to do? So first of all, make sure to create a project, and I hopefully think you know how to do it. So you can click on new project, write the name of the project, and the project will be opened. So for my project, the name is here the ChatGPT. The name will be shown here. So after pasting the code, you need to make sure to install this library name OpenAI. So what you need to do, you can simply copy it from here, and you can write pip install OpenAI, and it will simply go ahead and install it for you. So here you are seeing that there are multiple of things that is going to be installed, and once that is done, you can see this red lining have gone because the requirement have been satisfied. So just to make sure everything is working fine, you just need to barely run it like this. Okay, so we are getting error. So this was giving error because the OpenAI API key is not provided. So we need to provide it from here. We can simply cut it. We can use a double inverted comma to paste the API key and save it, and then run the code. So if no error is thrown, which means the code is working perfectly fine. So here if you see, here we are defining the model. So if we go to the website, go to the playground section, there are different type of models available with different pricing. So here after clicking on every model, you can see very capable but faster and lower cost. So it is also going to provide a description about it, if the price is lower and for what purpose it is basically good for. So you can select from here. So if you want, there are also some for coding modules that are basically good for coding and things like that, and there is also this pricing section that you have to consider while writing your code, if you are going to do something great or big things like that. But just for this example, I will be sticking to this default one. And also this maximum length and temperature, if you see, the temperature is set here, the maximum length is set here, and here is the prompt. So what I am basically going to do is just write a function that is simply going to do all the things for us, and then return the text that the text that we are simply going to get here, or in the ChatGPT prompt that you see, as a response. So what I will simply do, I will just simply write a function get AI response, and here we have to write the PROM. Here we have to basically provide the prompt, and this is the function that I have written, and what I need to do is just to indent these things inside this, and I will just simply click reformat the file, and it will do the formatting automatically for us. So now we are getting the response, but we are not never using this response. So firstly we need to make sure to delete this. Okay, so let me just simply go to the end of here. So this is the very big prompt. So here we are simply passing the prompt that we are getting from the user. So once we get the prompt, we need to return the response. So let's see what we are returning if you are just simply returning the response. So here I am simply returning the response. Whatever the response that we are going to get, it is going to be in the raw format. So let us give it a prompt. So I will write, or we can make a variable name as command. So here I will write the command like write a post on blockchain, simply like that, and then I will simply get the response, or I will just simply save the response from get AI response. So this res variable is going to basically store the response for us, and I will simply print it. So I will print res. Now let's try to run this code. If we are running the code, write a post on a blockchain. Let's see what response we are going to get. So keep in mind that this process will take time, as you have already seen. We are not getting the response directly from the ChatGPT. It takes some time to process it into the request and then response and then send it back to the server, because AI is also computing the responses on the real time. So here if you see, here we are getting this choices, and then inside, so here it is basically a dictionary, first thing that you need to consider. And inside the choices, so the dictionary have this key choice, and inside this choice which is a list, you can see it is a list. This list start and ends are here. So it is at the first index position, and the response that we are going to get is inside this text. So what we are going to return is from the response, we just are interested in this text. So for firstly we need to select this key, so we are simply selecting this key, and if we have to also specify the list index, which is basically going to be the 0, because in this there is just one, we can use 0 to get the first one, and then inside this it is again a dictionary, so we need to get the text here. So here we are simply going to write text in double inverted comma, and then if you try to run the same code again, let's see what it is going to return. So it will take like 30 to 40 seconds. And also if you want to increase the speed, you can choose different model that is faster, but the accuracy may be little bit low as compared to this one. So you have to basically decide what you prefer, if you prefer the quality over quantity, or you need speed, or you need to save time. So with that said, here you can see it have completely written the article for the blockchain, but this is not enough. So if you are writing the blog, it should be like 200 to 400 to like 400 to 500 is word around like that. So firstly, what we are going to ask the AI to do is to give us an outline. So we have to basically get an outline to write the post accordingly. Like let me just simply show you. So if we go to this ChatGPT website, we are simply going to reset it. Okay, let me just remove it. Is it deletable? Okay. So let's suppose I want to write an article on blockchain. So I will simply write an outline for an article about blockchain. And after this, if I submit it, and I remember which model I have selected, it is the very first one, because if you change the model, the responses are also going to change. So you have to also keep that into consideration. So I will just retry it. So I think the server had some error. Let's wait, retry this. While using API and Python, it randomly throws an error. Like after like 20 to 30 times, it is going to throw error once, but if you are using something like this, it is going to throw more often. So I'll just simply go here, and I will simply write it like this. Write an outline of an article about this particular on blockchain. Here you have to just provide the title, and it is the outline will be ready. So if I rerun it, so now first of all, let's try to understand what it is going to give. So here you see it is going to give you a very beautiful outline. Like first you have to give the introduction. Inside introduction, you have to give the definition of the blockchain, overview of the blockchain, and things like that. So here are the list of things that you are going to get. Now we can ask it to write this section, write the introduction and definition of the blockchain and overview of the technology. That we are going to get in the first response. So after getting the first response, we are going to save it, and then we will ask it to write for this, and then we are going to keep on concatenating all of this article outlines. So first this response is going to be concatenated with this response, and all the 5 of them. So you can imagine if like it is going to give the response for all those outlines, you can very well decorate those things into your website. Also you can do one more thing, you can get a very lengthy article too for your website that is not just some few words like it will normally give you. So for that, what is the first requirement? We need to use some kind of loop to make it keep on repeating. Also we need to make sure it keep on concatenating. So for that, what I am going to do is we are going to simply write another function for that. So I will just simply name my function get so I'm simply going to get write the post get article, and here I will be writing like, so here we are going to simply pass the articles, like the title of the article that we basically need. And then what we need to do, the first thing that we need to ask is to get the outline first, and then once we have the outline we can simply get all this informations accordingly. So first what we are simply going to do is going to get the, okay, I will just simply name it txt. I'll paste it, and I will simply concatenate it with the article title. So this is this, and then we are simply going to ask this to write an article about it. So there we can save it inside the res. So inside this prompt what we can write is txt. So till here we would have gotten this. So now we need to figure it out how many times we need to loop it out. So here in this case you can see it is 5. So but how we are going to understand how many lines are there? In some case it can be it can just provide you 3 outlines, or in some case it can even provide you with 6 or 7 outlines. So in order to make sure that we are getting the right one, first we need to find a pattern. So here you see after every introduction and these things there is this line gap. So what we are going to do, we are going to split this response using this \n to get the number of count of how many times we need to basically call this function. So for that what we need to do, I will just simply paste this code here that is going to do the same. So it is going to split the response by the lines, and it is going to give us how many lines of the things are we basically getting. So just to show you this, I will just I will just simply comment it out. I'll paste this here, and I will simply create a count variable. So in this count variable, after the response, I will simply print the count is, and then comma and the count. So if I run the code again, first of all it will simply provide us with the outline, and then it is simply going to provide us with the count. So sorry. So here it have, oh sorry, I was right. Sorry, here you see it have splitted using this \n. So firstly here also we are getting an empty line. So this is also good, because we have now seen we are getting this empty line which we don't need to consider. And then from here this is entire one, so you can see this comma separating. So here 1 2 3. So if we simply, the count is count, and then of course I can use \n to provide the length of the count, and then -1 because the first one is just nothing. So if I rerun the code again, here you can see that it is simply returning 5 because we have this 5 section 1 2 3 4 and 5. So for this also let me just first uncomment this. I have basically written one function just to make sure that the counts are being counted correctly. So if I go to my code base here and paste it, and I will explain it to you here. So firstly we are splitting it like we did it here, and then we are checking if the first length is basically null or empty, then we are returning the length of the list -1. So in the case the first is response after splitting is null, then only it is subtracting -1, or else if the inside the first response we are getting the entire code or this entire title without a space, simply we are going to return the length of the list. So I will just simply paste the code from here that I have already written, and I will explain it to you. Just let me just remove it. So I will be explaining the code line by line, so don't need to panic. So here, get data from ChatGPT. I think it's the get prompt function. So this get data from ChatGPT is nothing but our main ChatGPT function. So I will simply replace the name here. So here what I have done is, firstly I am getting the response of the outline that you can see here, and I am saving it with the title. Inside I am simply creating the folder. So here you can create the folder, new directory as titles, and then I am writing the name plus table. So like if you are writing on blockchain development, it will be like blockchain development table, and then I am simply writing the response. So it is basically like writing this data inside a file. So with open, I am opening with the right power to give it the right power, and then I am simply writing it inside the file, so that you have the outline to match if the response that you are getting is correct or not. So once that is done, we are getting the list and splitting it that we have seen, and then we are getting the count from this get point functions. And then here I am writing this post as null, and this clean post is equal to null. So let me just, so this post is basically going to be used to append. So if you remember, like if you want to do anything with strings, if you want to reverse the string, you need to firstly create the variable, and then you could simply keep on doing the things from backward. So firstly this will be empty, then all the information about this introduction will be appended it into it. So here I am looping it. So here you see, here there are 5. So here you see 5 conclusions. So here are the 5 points. So I am looping it for 5 times. Then I am simply creating a variable temp. I am saying it, write a post about the introduction, definition of the blockchain technology, and overview of how blockchain simply works. So this will be the title, and then I am writing the heading. So heading is going to be like the list. So the list that we have splitted. So this is going to be basically the list, and then it is I plus 1, because sometime or most of the time it is basically going to be the null. Then we are splitting it, and we are taking it the first one. So this is the information that, okay, let me just simply select it. So this is the information that we are simply selecting. So if I simply print the heading, print like heading, and then append it with heading, and then I will just simply add a \n so that the things are much more visible. So we will go for that, and here I have written a post. So I have written the code to post it inside the WordPress. So here I am just making this heading as bold. So if it is like introduction should be bold, and then after that I am simply adding \n, which means after headings. So let's suppose here is the introductions. So I will simply create a new file. So I will like test or anything like that. So firstly this introduction will be inside this heading tag, and I am entering 2 lines, and then everything about the introductions will be written from here like this, something like this. So that is the reason why firstly I am writing the heading and closing the heading 2, and after headings this \n is going to give ample amount 2 lines space, and then again we are getting the response about this particular things, like definition of the blockchain technology using our get AI response function. And once we have got the response, we are writing whatever data is inside it, like line by line, and then again we are providing it 2 space, so that we make the space once the post is written. And once that is done, here okay, let me just remove these things, we don't need it for this. And I will simply create one more folder that is named blogs. So here you see this is the folder blocks, blogs, okay, it's fine. And I am simply writing the data inside this blocks file. Whatever post you have written, either you can just post it online or you can keep the backup inside your system so that you can also, while debugging, inspect if it is working perfectly fine or not. So now what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to comment this code because we are not going to be using it. And I will simply click here, reformat the file, just everything is reformatted. Now I will simply ask it to get prompt article, and inside this article we need to provide whatever name or whatever article we want it to provide. So we can provide it like Bitcoin, something like this, Bitcoin. Let me. So this is our complete code that you are seeing here. So if you are going to run the code and wait for a while, let's see what response it is going to bring us. So inside this blog folder, we should be expecting to see the entire blog written like properly well, or there might be something or some modification that are required to be done in order to make it look more good, or it's just like refactoring. So firstly we are getting the introduction, the heading. So here this heading is printing the headings that our post is basically going to be written on, and this is thing that is going to be written in bold. If you are trying to post it onto the website directly, you can use this format too, or you need to come up with your own logic if you want to make it more better. So here you see after the conclusion the code have finished. So if we go to the titles, Bitcoin table, so here we can see the entire content of the table, and inside the blocks, if we go to the Bitcoin, because the article name was Bitcoin, here we see this introduction repeated several times, and there are some things that requires fixing a bit that you have to work on, which that in mind. So here is the entire introduction that you are able to see. So here you see this is pretty lengthy. After this introduction, there is definition of blockchain overview, also as a briefing of investment in blockchain, and this is how the complete article is portrayed. And I think there are some things that are repeated. So but what if I simply delete the things, or let me just write an article on something other than the blockchain or Bitcoin. It can be on ransomware. Let's try to write an article on ransomware. So if I run the code, let's see what actions it is going to provide us. And with this example or with this piece of code, you can basically integrate it with anything. And I will also try to provide you with the code that I have written that is basically integrated it with something like as text mumbling, or there are APIs that basically reshuffles your English words so that AI detection algorithms like Google AI is not able to easily detect it, because Google punishes the things of your blog post if it detects that it is written by AI. So there are many AI detector out there. So to protect that, there are some countermeasure to protect that AI. So yes, this is a contradiction. But using that thing, we can reshuffle the words and just to make it not look like it is written with AI. So I'll provide that code into the GitHub. So this is going to the main code, but if you are able to understand and grasp this code, you will be able to make sense out of that code too. So I think it's done. So if I go to this ransomware table, we are seeing it in the perfect form. But if we go to this ransomware introduction, so there are, you can see the formula like our format where it is making error. So introduction is written, name of the, okay, it is repeating every time. So okay, I got where it is providing some headache, ransomware introduction. So it is just repeating after concatenating. So you have to make sure to fix this on your own. This is going to be the task for you all. But in the code that I am going to be providing, it is going to be working perfectly fine. But just after watching this video, please make sure to fix those little changes to make sure that you have learned something on your own. So this is how the blog post is going to be written. If I just simply minimize the code, here we have the introduction, definition of the ransomware, type of ransomware, and everything is written in a perfectly good form. And this is how you basically write the blog post using Python and ChatGPT API. You can simply automate it to, you can provide it with the list of titles, and you can loop it through that too. So that is what I basically do. So provide it with the list of articles that you want it to write on, and it will keep on writing and saving it inside your file, as well as it can also keep on posting on your website. And you can also add a scheduler into that, so on which time it should be scheduled to post. So there are many things that you can do with this, but if you just want to simply make it prompt, so using this logic, if you want to simply create a chatbot, so you can simply comment it out, and you can keep on taking input from the user. So instead of this command, you can write something like input. So user will give you the input, and then you can use it inside the while true loop that is going to be continuously be running forever, and you can keep on getting the input and keep on getting the response and sending it like that. So that is all for this video, and I hope that you have learned something out of it. And please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so that you never miss any video updates. So I hope to see you in the next one.